the Baen Free Radio Hour.
Hello and welcome to the Baen Free Radio Hour. Today we have part 2 of Jeremy Comeaux's interview of editors David Afsharirad and Mark Finn, as well as a lineup of some of the amazing authors of our latest Baen anthology, Swords and Larceny. Authors include Wen Spencer, Tim Akers, A. Lee Martinez, Bill Willingham, Stephen Aryan, Tracy S. Morris, and Edward M. Erdelac. And later we continue with the serialization of One Jump Ahead by Mark Van Name, Part 29.
Well, for a bunch of authors who said they don't write short stories very well, y'all did a very good job.
Oh, I didn't say I don't write them well.
Oh.
I just said I struggle to get short content.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I want to quickly give a shout out as well to Todd Lockwood, the cover artist.
Oh yeah,
book. If anybody knows Todd's name, it's probably in conjunction with either Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons. And usually Todd is the guy that they go to when they need a really cool dragon, And so I was so excited to hear that Todd was going to be doing the illustration for this, because I knew no matter what was going to be on the cover, it wasn't going to have a dragon. So I knew automatically he'd be excited about it, and he was. So he turned in a great cover, and it's an old concept, the idea of the lineup, being this sort of a thing. What's great about the lineup is that when you put weird characters in it in place of like the Usual Suspects movie poster, it really sells, I think, the idea very well. And in the case of the cover, I specifically asked Ed for a description of the
Mogarth.
Yeah,
So and cool to see him on there. Yeah, it was really cool.
There you go. And I asked A. Lee Martinez for a description of the goblin, because we wanted different heights and different types there. And Alex went ahead and drew a cartoonish version of his goblin, which I just sent to Todd, and I think Todd nailed it. It's a great cover. I'm really excited about it, and I think he did a really good job of getting the spirit of the characters. And even if a couple of them aren't exactly one character, I think the intention is spot on for selling this kind of a book. So props to Todd. Thank you so much, Todd.
Yeah, thank you, Todd.
Yeah, and I think too, so me and Mark bounced ideas, what can we suggest to Todd Lockwood, to capture the spirit. And I think, I don't remember where it came from, right? But one was this Usual Suspects lineup poster with different fantasy races. The other was like maybe the trunk shot, right? Like from a Tarantino film. Mm-hmm. And so just if you want to peek behind the curtain, that was kind of our two big ideas. And I second it. I couldn't be happier. And I think too, the title, which I'll give Mark credit for, right? So I think originally, Mark had done, we've talked about, he had his, he'd done some like, man, I'm not a gamer, so I'm sorry, if I use the wrong terms here, but, his modules, or whatever the term, for doing heists in D&D. Look at Lee laughing. Anyways, everyone's like, I'm gonna get canceled. Anyway,
you sickened me.
Canceled. Gamer canceled.
Yeah, gamer canceled.
Yeah. Anyway, and that had such a wonderful name, which was Ogres 11, right? And it was kind of a shame. I mean, I'm happy for Mark that he used it for his project, but I was like, that would have been perfect. And we had another one. Anyways, and then I think it was a text, and he was just like, "What do you think about Swords and Larceny?" I was like, "That is beyond perfect." So I think this title and this cover does what a good title and cover should do, which is tell you everything you need to know about the book. And I don't want to say we've just wasted the last 58 minutes talking about it, but I think you could have probably just looked at the cover and read the title, and you would have gotten the idea. So
you know what? Let's knock off. Let's just go get a drink. Everybody, follow me to the bar. This is ridiculous.
Well, we gotta get to know y'all first. Hold on.
David is right. We chewed up the idea of the title for I mean, we spent hours back and forth, multiple conversations, multiple emails and texts back and forth, and we left it. It got left at stealing the Shire.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, I don't like it, but for now, let's just use it as a placeholder. And so you'll notice that the introduction is called Stealing the Shire because I think it works great as an introduction title. I don't think it works so good for a book, but yeah, when Swords and Larceny hit, it was literally, I wasn't even thinking about it, and it was like a lightning out of the blue. So yeah, really, really happy with that as well.
Yeah, and in the world of AI now, it's very important to support these artists that are doing these covers and everything, because it's so easy just to crank something out that that kind of fits. But to really continue to support these artists and authors as well, because apparently you can crank out books on AI now. So
Can you?
Not good, but,
not good ones. Not good ones.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's important because I've gotten to meet some of these artists, and they kind of show you their portfolio and some of the things that they do, and it's amazing. Whether it's digital art or hand drawn or what have you, it's just I'm blown away because I can't do any of that. So we have reached the get to know you portion of the show. So we're going to ask you deep and probing questions now. So what I want to do is kind of, what are you into? Whether it's gaming, what are you reading? What are you watching? All three, if you want to expound on that. And we're definitely going to get on the Robert E. Howard train because I'm harping on it because I'm about to start reading Robert E. Howard. It's next on my list.
Wow.
And so I want to kind of. I know I'm a little long in the tooth to be reading it now, but I'm finally getting to it. So
you can expect the email from Mark Finn outlining the path through.
Well, let's start there. How did you become the aficionado for Robert E. Howard?
Like everybody, I was a early and precocious reader, and when Dungeons and Dragons came along, for me, the first one I saw was one of the early editions, what we now call the blue box editions, for those of you who know what you know. And one of the things that it had, of course, was the recommended list, what we also now refer to as Appendix N. They had it in the basic book, but it migrated over to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And so on that was prominently a list of people that, as a fantasy and science fiction kid anyways, I'd heard the names. And so at the time, the Conan movie was being worked on. The name was in popular culture a lot. And so I thought I'll start there. And the first book I got had a little biography of him in the front of the book, or was in the back, and it mentioned that he lived in Cross Plains, Texas. Well, I'm in Abilene at this point, which is 40 minutes down the road. I mean, it's not even it's a drive, just nothing. And so that was part of what got me thinking about Robert E. Howard. And of course, when you're a 12-year-old kid and you read Conan for the first time, or I would contend Edgar Rice Burroughs, or any of those sorts of adventurous authors, it grabs you and kind of shakes you like a terrier and then kicks you out on the other side going, what the hell just happened? And so that was it. That was really the thing. Robert, reading his stuff was what made me realize that words could make me feel something. And so that was what I dialed in on to be, that was my idea for, I think I want to do this. I want to write stories. I want to tell stories. I want people to read my stuff and come away going, wow, that was amazing. I don't think I'm there yet, but I do like, as my inspiration for what I want to be when I grow up. And then that turned into finding out more about him. And it's a rabbit hole, It's like flat earthing, only with pulp authors. You can just, you just go right down that tube, and there is no bottom. There is no bottom for that. So I just got an award for 20 years of dedication to Robert E. Howard studies, and it's nice to have the award. I'm grateful for it, and it's a nice attaboy. But I've really been doing this for most of my adult life. So that was where that came from initially, and over the years I've just become kind of one of the. There's not a lot of experts on Robert E. Howard, but when you read enough stuff and when you write a biography, they want you to talk about it. So here we go. That was the thinking. Yeah.
So what are you reading now, or watching?
We're together. My wife and I are going through Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah.
I was curious about it. Somebody I saw recommended it, and specifically recommended the audiobook, which we listen to when we're driving and things like that. And so lately we've been turning off the television and literally sitting in a room and listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl. For one thing, it's nearly full cast audio with a multitude of voices and sound effect overlays and things like that. So it's very immersive, more so than the usual reading. And it's been just really fun, because that's a very meta set of fiction anyways. And they call it lit RPG, I think, or RPG lit. Basically, it all is a subgenre or a sub-subgenre that involves, I'm in this story, but it's also a game. That's the narrative conceit. So yeah, that's what we're doing, and we're really having a ball with it. And the usual caveats for things like streaming shows like Wednesday and Peacemaker.
So I should say, Mark won't say this about himself. He mentioned the North Texas Apocalypse Bunker. You can sign up for his Patreon, but his newsletter, I think, there's a free version.
Newsletter's free, yeah.
And he has in the bunker, they have the Department of Media Review. And Mark was a movie critic, and really, I think he's going to embarrass him here, but I think, he had such a deep background and knowledge in what we all love of kind of, dare I say it, nerdy pop culture and media. And so I look forward to reading his take on whatever new movie or television streaming thing, even though I have 3 kids, so I don't get to watch anything, but I just regurgitate his talking points like they're my own, but he's not around. So people should check that out. And then I'm going to stop talking and let other people.
Thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. And Bill, while we have you, why don't you go next? What are you reading, watching, gaming, anything like that? What are you into?
Yeah, apologies again for my connection keeps trying to kick me out. But my reading influences are, now I'm just rereading old stuff. I started reading with Edgar Rice Burroughs. I thought there was no reason to read anyone else because his books were so good. And so I spent the formative years of my early reading life just tracking down every single book he wrote. And this was long before the internet and long before I could drive. Luckily, it was back in an era where parents said, yeah, get on your bike and you can go far you want. I lived in the Seattle area. I rode my bike into Seattle and Renton and Bellevue and every place, haunting libraries, etc., trying to find everything. Only when I ran out of books he'd written, which took a while, he was prolific, did I start looking around to see, has anyone else written anything worth reading? Skeptical about it. I just assumed this is like lightning, it only strikes rarely. but a friend on the bus put a Robert E. Howard collection into my hands. This was the reintroduction of Robert E. Howard with the it wasn't the Ace paperbacks. Was it Valentine? Was it anyway? The
it was
collection
Valentine
of all of his stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I started reading those, and those were pretty good. And I ended up from that enjoying a wealth of authors. The kind of entertainment I'm watching. You know, I guess at some point in the last year or two, I'm to a doddering old fogey because you know, I like the kind of stuff that most people like, but I got to tell you, and like Peacemaker, for example, when they get to the full frontal orgy scene, I was a little put off by that. So you know, and my girlfriend and I are finally trying to make our way through Outlander, which is one of the most gorgeous TV shows I've ever seen. The art direction, the filming, the costuming is just perfect, and the writing, well, leaves a little bit to be desired. It's cliche written. It's okay. It's your turn to rescue him, and now it's his turn to rescue you, and by the end, and turned into a full porn and torture extravaganza. So
Together.
so I'm having I'm having a little trouble, you know, finding something in my wheelhouse, filmed entertainment. But that's fine because, you know, if there's nothing good on, I can possibly get some work done.
Yes.
I wanted to speak to, I forget who said it, because, and once again, I'm only getting a little bit of your conversation. But someone was talking about the strictures, the restrictions of writing a short story format, that you only get a few thousand words, and of course I want to go to 100,000 with everything, and I have that same urge, but luckily I came to this through comic books. Was the most required terse medium of storytelling that there is. I mean, even more to the point than movies or anything. You just have to get it said in a small amount of words in a small amount of space. So I'm perfectly happy with a 2,000 word story. I mean, what space, what luxury there is to get all of that out. Comic book writers are the only people that, when Twitter first started and everyone was whining and crying that we only have 250 characters to express ourselves, and all of us in the comic book world are going, oh my God, what will we do with all those extra characters once we've expressed ourselves? It was terrific. So yes, writing in short story form, and of course, you know, the pay for short story anthologies is so ridiculously high. I couldn't turn it away. You know, what am I going to do with all the pensions from that you can afford to pay? I don't know if I answered your question, but
Oh no, you did
but
great.
I think I should stop talking for now. And yeah, pre-apologize if I drop out.
Oh, you're fine. All right, Tim, it's time to pick on you. What are you? Oh, sorry. So, Tim, what are you into? Reading, watching, gaming?
So I'm fundamentally both a gamer and a reader. Gaming wise, right now, in about 45 minutes, I will be entering a World of Warcraft raid with 30 people I've never met, as I do twice a week. My wife and I are both in the guild. She's one of our officers, so I have to be nice. I do a lot of general tabletop role playing. I want to talk about books though, because there are a lot of good books that are coming out, and I really think they kind of get missed sometimes. They don't get the attention they deserve. I just read J.T. Greathouse's most recent one, Tower of the Tyrant. It's only in ARC form right now. It's coming out fairly soon. Hasn't gotten a lot of attention in the U.S. because it's published by Golance, but his first series, Pact and Pattern, is some of my favorite fantasy of the last probably 5 or 10 years. Daniel Abraham, who is half of the guy who wrote Expanse, his books always hit with me. I've not read his most recent ones, but the pre-Expanse stuff, Long Price Quartet and the Dragon and the Coin series, again, some of the best fantasy in the last 20 years. There's just a lot of really good fantasy that's coming out from guys like Anthony Ryan, Steven, all y'all. You know, there's some great stuff that's out there, and I don't think it gets quite the attention. You walk into a Target and it's all romantasy, and there's good fantasy that's being produced that is not that. It just doesn't make book talk. So I really want to kind of emphasize that there's just good stuff out there that you can read, and that I try to write. So that's what I've been reading. Yeah, just kind of enjoying. We talked a little bit about writers who meant a lot to you. For me, it was William Gibson, which is odd as a fantasy author, but I was a very basic fantasy reader prior to reading Gibson in high school, and that rewrote my brain, the way that I write, the way that I think about language, the way that I think about not just individual sentences, but the way that world building functions. All of that changed with Gibson. And I am currently working on what I am casually referring to as Cyberpunk Wheel of Time, which may be either the worst idea ever or the exact series that I was in fact born and put on this earth to write. So we'll see how that goes. If anybody wants to read it, that may be out in the next 30 years. I'll let you know. But yeah, that's my life.
All right, awesome. Tracy.
Okay, so I don't have a huge amount of free time because I have an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old, and the 13-year-old just started guitar and swim and musical theater. So I spend a lot of time listening to podcasts and audiobooks. I like the British History podcast. They've made it as far as the First Crusades. I like Noble Blood, which talks about the sad life of royal people. I like, I've just listened to on audio Rivers of London.
Mm-hmm.
I've just listened to Garth Nix's Left-Handed book, Sellers of London. A little closer to home, I've listened to The Blade Mage by Philip Dreyer Duncan. I'm currently listening to Andy Serkis's version of Lord of the Rings.
Ooh.
It's a long listen, but it's free on Audible through about mid-September, I believe, and he does an amazing job of that. When I'm driving the kids to school, I've been taking them through How to Train Your Dragon, the book series. We're on the last book now, and even as an adult, listening to it tickles me so much. It's one of those I really wish that I'd come up with this, because some of the situations that he gets in and gets himself out of are so amazing. And it's so different from the movies, it may as well be a whole separate thing. And you mentioned authors that really mean a lot to us. The entire Discworld series. Mm-hmm. It helped me through hard times in my life, and I feel like it was a formative influence on my work. I think it's a big reason I like to write humor fantasy. I don't think I can get as deep. I'm not talented enough to be as deep with my work as he is, but I like the way that I feel like in the way that he sort of drew from a big everything around him he pulled in, and then it came out in his work. That let's build with these Legos and see what we get. I feel like he did that, and I feel like that's one thing that I've tried to emulate.
Awesome. Are you a gamer?
Sorry, I don't have time.
Yeah, me neither. But I'm like you. I'm podcasting audiobooks. I get made fun of for every now and then. Oh, that's not reading. I was like, for me, it's better than reading. But that's just me.
Well, I've got a limited amount of time, and it's like I could write or I could game, and so I write.
Yeah, and I like it because I can listen to it at double time and get through some books.
Yeah.
All right, Ed, what are you into?
What am I into? Comics. I think comics taught me how to read. Like I would make up the stories because I couldn't read the bubbles when I was a kid, but I'd kind of make up the stories in the bubbles as I went. So, but it was stuff like Spider-Man, Werewolf by Night, Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Those were like I grew up on those. Robert E. Howard for sure. I love Black Colossus. I think I got to him through the movie, especially through the music, through the Basil Polidorus score. Like I think that just like made those movies come alive. And then when I saw Robert E. Howard's name in the credits, I had to go hunt him up, and I found the Frazetta paperbacks, the covers, and those just like cut me right open, sliced me right open. What am I reading now? I'm reading this. My girlfriend gave me this amazing book called The Overstory by Richard Powers, which is this like decade-spanning novel about the sentience of trees. It's really beautiful and moving. My favorite, most recent fantasy novel, Lev Grossman's The Bright Sword, which was this knight who goes to join the Knights of the Round Table on the day after the Battle of Camlan, and Arthur's dead, and everybody is like in ruins. It's a really great idea. I love that kind of stuff.
What's the name of that? I'm writing it down.
The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. I really enjoyed it. It put me off at first because the dialogue felt a little modern, but I don't know. After a while, he just injects poetry in it once in a while, and he displayed like a deep knowledge of Arthurian lore, which I love. And that one really got me. I liked it. I'm into like Patrick O'Brien. I love the sea novels of Patrick O'Brien. Master and Commander was the movie that they based one on, and I've been reading those like over the years, not because I'm that slow a reader, but just I'm savoring them. I don't want the series to end, so I read one book every couple of like years or something like that. I love gaming. I'm actually going to play the Conan board game from Monolith with some friends on Sunday and everything. Be doing that, painting the minis, that kind of thing. I love movies. I did a movie. I directed and wrote a movie in 2009, Meaner Than Hell. It's on Amazon. So I love westerns, stuff like that. I just watched a movie about foster kids that was very moving called, I'm going to blank on the name. The 12, I don't know, Lakeith Stanfield's in it. It's his first role. Look it up. It's beautiful movie about fostering children and stuff, and I'm into like whatever comes my way, whatever the universe puts my way. I'm pretty much into most of the time. Alan Moore, Cormac McCarthy influences. I love John Irving, P.G. Wodehouse. You mentioned that. I love P.G. Wodehouse. So delightful. Yeah, a lot of stuff. I said anything that comes my way, just about.
That's awesome. All right, Lee.
Okay. I got confused here. No, it's funny when people talk about like writing long, like most of my books are pretty short. I used to have trouble writing short stories, but then like maybe 10 years ago it broke. So my novels are shorter now, and my short stories, I can just pound out a short story. Just give me that. I don't need more. I don't want more. Give me this. But writing wise, I'm really enjoying, I used to love Edgar Rice Burroughs. I found him like in my 30s, and I just devoured those books. I grew up, I really love Walt Simonson. He did like a comic book writer. He did like Thor's classic run, which that's to me still influences me today. TV show wise, I don't watch as much as I used to. There's just other things going on, but I really found this. I found this show on Disney Plus called Stugo, Student Government. These kids get on an island where like a mad scientist lives. It is brilliantly funny and absurd. I love it. I would highly recommend it. Like it's so ridiculous, but like so well done and so well executed. what else? Game-wise, I've been playing a video game called Wildgate, which is sort of a PvP game. I mean, it's not sort of, it is. You're a crew on a spaceship, and you're trying to either find an artifact or blow up all the other spaceships. I think it's pretty fun. It's a little weird, a little tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's really cool. And that's it.
Hmm?
Oh, I will say real quickly. Everyone talks about their influences, whatever. My influences is I'm basically 9 years old, but an adult. And I figured that out because there's a comic called Axe Cop, which is written by like a 8-year-old.
Yeah.
And I remember I picked it up specifically because on the cover there was a gorilla fighting a Tyrannosaurus with a machine gun arm, and I was like, I'm on board. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, I really like this story. I wish the writing was a little better. But then I was like, oh, it's a 9-year-old. He's pretty good. I take it back. But I was like, I would write this story, but I would write it better.
Yeah. I think they made a cartoon.
There was a show on it too, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was translated or not. So anyway, that's the thing that gave me that revelation where I was like, I'm the guy who wants to write about a dinosaur with machine gun arms, but I want to do it with some thoughtful maturity. So that's it.
Good answer. David, what are you into, man?
You say me?
Yeah.
David? Oh, man. So, okay. I also discovered Edgar Rice Burroughs like later than most. I don't know if I probably wasn't in my 30s, but I was definitely in my 20s. And, devoured all that. Everybody's like, well, you read it when you're a kid. It's like, man, maybe I'm young at heart, but, I've always loved Burroughs. And, but, my big, really, entrance into the world. I was not a young, precocious reader. I mean, I read probably more than the average kid, but I wasn't like the guy, I've said this many times, the guy with his nose always in a book growing up. I loved movies, I loved TV shows. I did read, but it wasn't, my main preoccupation. But it was probably in high school when I really started ramping up my reading. And, to me, it was Stephen King. And it was his voice, right? I mean, like, the stories are good, right? A lot of the endings are not. But, like, I think that's a fair criticism of him for a lot of things, although not for everything. Sometimes he really does stick the landing. But it was the voice that just drew you in, and, like, you looked up and, like, you're like, how did I just read 100 pages and not realize it? Recently, I've been reading. What have I been reading recently? I just reread The Long Walk, which is that King Bachman book, because the movie's coming out and I wanted to revisit it. And, like, man, what a great novel that is. And it's like, it's about, like, people taking a walk. There's more to it than that. But I mean, like, it is real linear. And, like, from the outset what's going to happen. I won't spoil it, although, whatever, it's 50 years old. But, and just, like, what a master to be able to take people walking and talking, essentially, and make it that terrifying and that edge of your seat throughout the whole thing. And, I've also talked on other podcasts about Willie Vlautin, who's like a modern literary writer whose work I really like. And like I said, I've got 3 little kids, so I haven't been watching much. And they're kind of, if they ever dig this old podcast stuff, they're going to be like, Dad, but they're a little timid more than me. Like, I was, like many of us on here, like, probably exposed to a lot of stuff in the 80s that I shouldn't have been at a young age, but I turned out fine. But, like, they get scared of stuff, and I'm like, what are you doing? But they've recently started kind of coming out of their shell. So we watched the Billy Zane Phantom just the other day.
Oh, yeah.
All-time classic.
It's a wonderful movie.
I think that's the most recent movie I watched. So.
Hey, David, real quick, if I haven't had the Don Robertson conversation with you yet, remind me at Armadillo-Con that we need to have the Don Robertson conversation.
All right, I'm making a note. Sounds good. All right.
Totally.
All right. Wen, you're up next.
Well, when I was growing up, I lived out in the middle of nowhere, so I read just about anything I could get my hands onto. My introduction to Howard was the only comic book that the Greasy Spoon newsstand diner had was Conan.
Wow.
And we're talking the 60s. So I started early on him. My mother talked me into accordion lessons, and I hated the accordion. So I talked her into the lessons were 20 miles away next to the only bookstore in the area. So we would go to the bookstore and I would get a book or two. Those accordion lessons were incredibly expensive for her. But that was just when they were releasing the whole run of Howard. And then there was also John Norman for the Gore books. But I read everything they had. They used to release only a handful of books a year, so that was pretty easy. So then I would read anything else. And Louis L'Amour, the Westerns, Zane Grey. I went off on Westlake, Donald Westlake's caper books. Really loved them. Dick Francis mysteries. Mary Stewart with The Crystal Cave. Just about everything. And then a few years ago, my eyes started going bad. So I stopped reading that much and I started watching anime. And that's a lot of my storytelling right now is the anime. Freeing was one of the big ones recently that I really, really loved. It ends up in my writing because I end up like throwing the kitchen sink into this where, yeah, it's a fantasy, but it's a crime. And then, we got mystery and romance and everything. Just put it all in. It's all good.
Hey, Wen, did you ever check out any of the Richard Stark Westlake books?
I think I did. We're now talking 40 or 50 years on those.
What are you in your late 50s now? So you were reading these at what, the age of 9? That's ridiculous.
Yes, I was
precocious.
Very precocious. I could read before I went to kindergarten. My mother was a school teacher, so I got tested early, and I was reading college age when I was 7 and 8.
I think Richard Stark crime novels are perfect for someone who's 12 or 13 playing the accordion. That feels like a match. Just a perfect pairing right there.
Yeah, but and now also, what I watch on television is a lot of true crime things. I keep on wanting to write murder mysteries, but it's hard to get all that weird fantasy shit in and still be a police procedural because magic can solve so many problems.
Yeah, you just got to put limits on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're a gamer at all, Wen?
Yeah. We did a lot of D&D when I was in college, and then after college, and my first book, Alien Taste, the Ukiah, Oregon series, all of them were actually ripped off from a series that we were doing, Stalking the Night Fantastic.
Oh yeah. Old school TriTac. Let's get it.
Yeah, and just a whole bunch of things that we did here on the island. I'm in Hawaii. It's hard to get a group going and keep it going because people tend to burn out and leave the island. And but when you get together, it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yep. All right, Steven, what are you into?
Gaming wise, I haven't played Warcraft for about 10 years. I've been clean, so I'm off that. It takes up too much time. It eats into your life, and I've been clean for 10 years. I'm not going back now. I did free taste, and then that's it. So yeah, I was there when it started, and I had to come off it at some point, like most hard drugs. I grew up with a comic book in one hand and a book in the other since the early age. So DC, I was reading DC comics from the beginning, pretty much. But big influences for me would be David Gemmell, who doesn't get enough enough stuff. I think he doesn't get enough love, really. He had such huge influence on me. Stephen King, for sure. Dean Koontz, weirdly, for all of his thrillers and all the kind of supernatural edge, but also his pace. Everyone describes my books as quite pacey. And I think it comes from reading his. Like, why would I write it in 800 pages when I can do it in 400? And people are desperate for more. So that was a thing. Reading at the moment, I'm editing 2 books back to back at the moment. So I struggle to read a lot when I'm editing. So I'm currently reading The Bone Raiders by Jackson Ford, which just came out. Then I've got Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones to read. Then I've got some Michael Connelly's to read. But I'm reading more comics. I seem to do that when I'm editing. So I've just finished reading Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing that started in 2021 and just finished last year. So I've read that. I've read The Absolute Batman by Scott Snyder. I've been reading Public Domain by Chip Zdarsky from Image Comics. It's an interesting kind of thing about ownership of comic book titles and creations and that kind of thing. So that was quite fascinating. Oh, and then I've got Digger to read, this kind of small tome by Ursula Vernon. It's about 900 pages. It's a beast. It's an absolute beast. I've got that to read as well. But I just seem to attack my kind of trade paperback stack whilst I'm editing, because I just struggle to get through books very quickly. So,
well, I'm gonna join in. One thing that I've watched recently that I really enjoyed was Ted Lasso.
Yes.
It's the most wholesome show that's still good with cursing in it. That it's still wholesome even with the cursing and all that, and but it's still good. So that's my one offering there. And I've been I came to reading late because I don't read very quickly, and it was always kind of work for me. But so I'm really into audiobooks, and I've got this whole Star Wars list that I'm reading, and then detective, and then of course urban fantasy is probably my favorite genre. So, and I don't really game. I go watch and make fun of people, and that's about as close as I get to it. I watch other people play D&D, and I drink and talk trash about them. So, but we're all having fun. So, with that, probably coming close to the end here. Is there any chance that we can get a part 2 to this anthology? Hopes and dreams.
Well, that all depends on how well it does. Obviously, I mean, I feel like there's definitely more. There's more grist for the mill, surely, but I also don't want to. I don't want to get ahead of my skis here and say, yeah, of course. But I mean, I would certainly be up for doing it again. Absolutely. And, yeah, I would, of course, talk to everybody and see if everybody wanted back in, and we'd go from there. I wouldn't necessarily, I don't have an opinion on whether or not anybody wants to write the same characters again or not, in anticipation of your final question. But yeah, I'd be up for it. Sure. Totally.
I'll only say it because, like I said, I'm not terribly into anthologies, but I was into this one, and I had a good time reading it. And so, and to tack on to that question, and we'll go to each of you. Will we see potentially or already see your characters or these stories in a full-length novel, or is it somewhere else already, or anything like that? And we'll go back the way Stephen, you go first.
The character is going to feature in a novel that's currently going to go to my agent in a couple of weeks. So it's set in the same world, and this is kind of a side character. I thought, like Tim, I'd already built this world. Why would I build a brand new world? So I put this character in and kind of did their origin stories. They feature as a minor character in the novel that I'm currently editing. So watch this space, really.
Awesome. Wen?
I'm hoping to do more with the characters, but at the moment I'm working on 2 or 3 different other series, and it's taking up a lot of my time.
Yeah, you're very busy. And let's see, Ed.
I would love to bring Mogarth back again. I have an unpublished story with him already where he's like messing with halflings, and him and the goblin. Yeah, they're a great character. I love the setting. I really want to explore the setting of this post-war like fantasy kingdom and everything. And yeah, I'd love to bring them back. And some my characters usually end up starting as short stories and wind up with a full length novel somehow. So I would love to do that, with that character.
Okay. Awesome. And Tracy?
Well, certainly not a novel, but I do have some ideas for some more short stories with these characters. Over the summer, I was fortunate to go to London and tour the Tower of London, and there was some material in there that sparked some creative ideas.
Cool. Oh, that's awesome. Tim, what about you?
Beats me, dude. The honest answer is I've got a 3-book trilogy that I'm contracted for that's got me for the next 13 months. I've got a 5-part novella series that I'm trying to finish up. And the world is the same world as Last Dragon Knight, but Last Dragon Knight's a different thing. And I've got the first one of those out, and books 2 and 3 started but not done. My goal was to get that trilogy done this year, but then I got the Aethon contract, and so that kind of all went out the window. Basically, I'd love to, but if so, it's the 8th thing on my list, and we only have so much time in the day. So
yeah. Mark?
It's funny you should ask. I have 2 other stories that feature Larson and his band of merry miscreants. Both of them currently can be found on heroicfantasyquarterly.com, which is Adrian Simmons' side hustle. And in fact, the new edition that just dropped of the new issue of Heroic Fantasy Quarterly has actually the sequel to the story that's in Swords and Larceny. And so I think you can read them in any order. If you want to read this now, you can, or you can go read this one and go to the next one. The bonus feature on that is that I actually did the reading of the story on the current issue of Heroic Fantasy Quarterly. So read by the author is sometimes a tricky ask, but I think I made a good accounting of myself. And also, I know other people had mentioned some of the other heist-related things. You can find that stuff on drivethrurpg.com. If you look up Human Guerrilla Creations, you'll see a tab with my stuff, and it's got Ogres 11. It's got Tools of the Trade, which is the book I wrote that teaches you how to write a heist for a fantasy, and Polite Society, which is the zine that supports that whole type of storytelling and gaming, things like that. So those are available at drivethrurpg.com, and you can get them in PDF form, or you can get them. So yeah, there. And so my intention is to do more of these. I love the character, and I like where that story is dialed in at. And that goes back to reading those pulp stories as a kid, right? All of Robert E. Howard's Conan stories take place in a very short amount of time. You know, the Tower of the Elephant is one night when he decides to do this. You know, Beyond the Black River is one day where he's, watching the borders change. And so I gravitate towards that short, compressed style anyways. And these kinds of stories are perfect for that kind of storytelling. So yes, I can't wait to do more, whether it's for Bane or elsewhere. I really like what we're doing right now.
That's awesome. And Lee, if you would.
I guess I'm the weirdo because I don't get attached to my characters at all. I mean, I'm glad they're there. I like them, but I generally am like, okay, I'll write something else. I really don't look backwards like that. I mean, if someone wanted to pay me some money, I'd do it. I think I could do a good story with them. But this story, the one I was trying to originally write for this was based on some characters I'd written. And I was just like, you know what? This is just baggage. I don't need this baggage. I'm going to drop them. And it just so anything, if it receives enough attention and gets people excited, then because I'm a writer, I can write. We all writers, that's what we do. But for me, I do not, even when I like something, I like writing everything I've written. Like I'm literally working on, at the moment, a possible sequel to my first novel from 20 years ago, maybe. And it was only because the kind of idea hit me, but otherwise, I just don't care about it. I don't get attached to the same way. It's a weird thing to say because I like it, but like I'm just kind of like, cool. Okay, now you go in that box. I got something else to do. So probably not unless some cash shows up. Then I'm a sellout. Sellout all the way.
Lee answers the question correctly. If somebody pays me, yes.
Yes. So, but otherwise, like on my own, I have not thought about. After I did the editing and all that, I have not thought about these characters anymore. I'm like, they're cool. I like the story, but I just don't. I don't look back like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, those watching this, go buy the book so I can get either another anthology or some novels out of this. So just asking.
Here.
Seconded. Yes.
So I could talk to you guys forever. This has been fun, but we gotta head out. And but before we do, one more time, because we're probably going to divide this into 2 episodes. Let's promote anything you want to promote, whether it's now or in the future, any projects that are in the pipeline, where people can find you, all that good stuff. And we're going to start with you, Lee. Why don't you lead us off?
Ali Martinez, you can, I want to promote, I have my novels, all of my novels. You can find them everywhere. It's not really something that I have a lot to do with, but there is a Chinese movie called Monster Run, which is based on my book Monster, showing on Netflix still, I think, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. You can find me on Blue Sky. You can find my website, alimartinez.com. I think I got a TikTok. I'm not sure. Ali Writer, Ali Martinez, and that's it.
All right, Tim, where can people find you?
Tim Akers everywhere, and you can find my novella, A Servant of a Pale Sword, which is Jason Bourne meets The Witcher, online, or you can read Last Dragon Knight, which we've been talking about, everywhere, Wraithbound everywhere. So check it out. And I have raid pull in 13 minutes. So if I disappear, that's why.
Yes, sir. Tracy, plug anything you want.
Okay. TracySmorse.com is my website. You can find links to all my books, my socials there. I have a newsletter I send out twice a month, and I have a serialized story going on that. And I have a novella attached to that called A Wizard Walked into a Bar.
Awesome. Ed?
Edward M. Erdelac. You can find me on WordPress, my blog. I link to all my books on there. My last one, Chili Bean Joss, Kung Fu Weird Western with mysticism. I do the Conquer series, the John Conquer series. It's like Shaft meets Doctor Strange, 1970s, like PI, like occult detective. I got the Macabre Rider series. You can follow all that stuff. And my movie from 2009, Meaner Than Hell, my Western, is on Amazon Prime. You can watch it for free.
Awesome. Wen?
I'm going to be at Mile High Con over the Halloween weekend. My book, Lacti and Tales, there's a second book of Black Wolves of Boston, will be out the same day, September 2nd. They're working on the audio book, so there will be an audio for that. The Elf Home series, the paperback for Storm Furies came out or is coming out. I got a box of books, so it must be somewhere in the line. I really should stay on top of that more. WenSpencer.com or the Patreon. And like I said, I'm really active on my Patreon.
Awesome. Go check her out. And Stephen?
I'm on Stephen-Aryan.com. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. The last book of mine that came out was in May, which was The Sorrow of the Seat. That's the last book in the trilogy. And I also self-published something for the first time. It's supposed to be a short story and ended up being a 42,000-word novella. And that's New York Minutes. That's a noir stories, speculative, set in an alternate New York City. Lots of crime, lots of kind of grimy, seedy, dirty stuff about a woman goes missing and Gannis to try and find it. I'll be at the World Fantasy Convention in Brighton in UK at the end of October, and that's it.
Awesome. And now the editor's David.
Yeah, I'm on X. I keep telling people like I heard it on the X and wanting them to get the ZZ Top reference, but no one does. So it's like, why am I even on that stupid platform if I can't make a ZZ Top reference? I'm not on there much. I do have a website, I think, but I don't do much with it. I'm mostly now working over at Arc.press if you want to check us out. We're a startup genre publisher. And so I'm busy kind of behind the scenes reading manuscripts and stuff like that. You know, I had a story out earlier this year, and I think Sherlock Holmes Mystery Magazine or something. That's, you know, that's the most writing I've done in recently. If I can, just real quick, I'm going to plug this. I looked up my text from Mark. So me and him, and I don't know if anyone else is coming, Mark, you can tell me, but we're going to be at Bankston's in Waco.
Yep.
And that is, let's see, what is that? That's then, I guess, the 10th. Is that right? Sound right,
Yes,
Mark?
Wednesday. Mm-hmm.
That's Wednesday the 10th at 4 to 6, doing a signing and discussion. And then we'll be at Austin Books, or it used to be Austin Books and Comics. I don't know if it still is, but 5 to 7 on the 11th.
Yep.
And then we've got an official panel at Armadillo Con on at 10 a.m. on September the 13th, and that's going to be with Lee is going to be there, Tracy is going to be there, and Adrian Simmons, who's also in the college, who we're going to be talking about Swords Larceny. So if you want to hear us relive this podcast in person, swing on by. And,
good dry run. We'll tighten it up in post at the panel. Yeah,
exactly. So if you're in the Austin area or drivable, Armadillo Con's kind of my home con. Meets a lot of these fine folk, and it's just always such a great time. So,
all right, and Mark, you finally got your Brady Bunch shot. Since Bill fell out, you got the Brady Bunch.
Outstanding.
So, yes, sir.
So, NorthTexasApocalypseBunker.com, like it sounds. And also the Substack, ntab.substack.com. You can give me money for it if you want, but the newsletter that I send out weekly is free and always will be. My stuff is available at Amazon and also at DriveThruRPG. I can be Googled if need be. And so, yeah, I wanted to I was going to mention that if David didn't. But we have upcoming little barnstorming lead up to Armadillo Con and then Armadillo Con. So, and then I actually, after that, I'm going to probably go back into hiding because I'm working on a Conan adjacent project that I can't say anything about yet. But it's going to be really fun, but it's going to eat a lot of my my run cycles up. So I'm really excited that this is happening because it comes right at the time that I can switch over. So those are the places to get me. Don't follow me on social media. I've just decided that I don't like any of it. So, I mean, I'm on Blue Sky, but if you want the reminder that the newsletter is out, follow me on Blue Sky, and I'll post that. And I may send something out, but I'm not a avid social media guy anymore. I think it's a failed and broken experiment.
I mean, no one gets the ZZ Top reference.
Oh, so I get it. I'm right there.
What's the point? You know, I'm with you. Let's shut it down.
People who get it are not on social media.
Yeah,
right.
Well, and I always say this: if you have an author that you like, go to their website, sign up for their newsletter if they have one. It's the best place to get all the information, and you can, you know, it's probably the most up to date. Social media, if you get it, you get it. If you're lucky, but you might miss something. Just go to their websites. And with that, everyone, I really appreciate y'all coming on here and giving me your time. Your stories were awesome. I really enjoyed reading it. and hopefully I get to read some of these characters in the future. Hopes and dreams, and people go by the book. And but with that, thank you very much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Right. Hey, thanks so much, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeremy.
And now, as promised, one jump ahead. John Moore is a nanotech-enhanced soldier of fortune. Lobo is an AI, a living weapons and intelligence platform of enormous destructive potential. Two very dangerous wolves in a galaxy of deadly corporate and paramilitary predators. But Moore has grown weary of the killing, and just once he'd like to finish the job without leaving a trail of blood behind him. Not going to happen. Not on a pristine planet called Mackin, where two gigantic corporations vie for control of the local jump gate and access to the riches of an undeveloped world. Dealing with a kidnapping and extortion scheme is only the beginning for Moore and Lobo as they work to stay one jump ahead.
Chapter 10. 2 days later, the freighter in which we'd booked passage touched down in a cargo and low-rent passenger terminal on the edge of the industrial sector of Beaconsdeal, about as far away from Osterlad's office as you could get and still claim to be in the city. I'd stopped briefly between jumps to pick up a different wallet and load it with money from another of my accounts. I hadn't used the Ashland identity in a long time, so, with any luck, Osterlad's team wouldn't flag the name if they were monitoring passenger lists, as I had to assume they were. Ashland dealt in curios from neighboring planets, gift shop stuff for souvenir buyers and unskilled bargain hunters. So, in his business, large shipping containers routinely sat in storage houses while he negotiated with retailers. Lobo certainly wasn't pleased that I was leaving him alone in such a container, but I needed to keep him out of sight for now. I didn't cut him out entirely. I carried comm gear and a small video feed so I could relay him mission intel as I developed it. Asking for a meeting with Osterlad was out of the question, so my only real option was a snatch. No one succeeds for long in Osterlad's business without being extremely careful, so I'd have to accumulate a lot of information about his movements if I was going to have a prayer of taking him. First stop in my data quest was Queen's Bar, a city within a city, a part of Beaconsdeal that filled a role every urban area requires but none wants to admit. The dealer's haven, the place where everything is for sale and rules, if they exist at all, are fluid. The arms purchases that kept the residents of Queen's Bar fortified and at each other's throats wouldn't individually attract Osterlad's attention, but collectively, they almost certainly registered on his bottom line. I grabbed a surface shuttle from the terminal to the nearest edge of Queen's Bar, where an unofficial but easily visible line separated it from the rest of Beaconsdeal. Businesses on the city side presented happy faces to the dividing street. Bright signs trolled for customers by flashing expensive advertisements for gourmet meals, spa treatments, designer clothing, and art objects of all types. Strong but tasteful lighting, heavy on slowly mutating color washes, danced across a wide array of architectural features, kept clean daily by unobtrusive robotic crawlers and dedicated staffers. Small, perfectly manicured gardens separated each business from its neighbors. No two buildings followed exactly the same style, but no two clashed either. The cumulative effect, one of carefully calculated casualness. Patrons, their clothing reeking of either money or artistic background, came and went with packages and occasionally stopped to chat. Every now and then a few huddled shoppers would look across the street, perhaps point a finger and discuss that other place, the one they all decried, but might visit later, perhaps in a group as long as it hadn't gotten too late. The buildings on the Queen's Bar side, by contrast, turned their rear ends to the city, with nothing visible from outside the district except reinforced metal doors and windows fortified with cross-hatched bars and thick, light-distorting plexi. Nothing about their nature was evident from the city side. If you wanted to know what they sold, you had to enter Queen's Bar. Each building squatted on the pavement like a pressed board box, left in the sun far too long, its walls faded from whatever color they'd once sported into a uniform sand-gray blend, only a few shades lighter than the best local soil. Where each city-side business stood alone, these Queen's Bar barrier buildings shared walls and ran together, giving the impression of a single man-made creature with a flat bottom, a flat back, and a top undulating from the different heights of the adjoining rooftops. Here and there, at intervals, with no apparent plan or purpose, small tunnels led to the front of the buildings and the inside of Queen's Bar. Each tunnel lit only at the ends, the center a dark place you had to be willing to cross to enter the district. I found a tunnel barely wide enough to let me pass without turning my body to the side, stepped into it, cranked my vision to IR to make sure I wouldn't encounter unwanted company in the passage's black center, and headed inside. The world exploded with color as I stepped out of the tunnel and into the perpetual carnival that was Queen's Bar. The fronts of the businesses within the district screamed at your eyes for attention, their colors the loudest and boldest the merchants could manage, brighter by far than the displays on the city side, displays of brilliant reds warred with amplified perfect sky blues, electrified kelp greens and hot yellows, the color of midlife stars. Giant wall displays stood next to active fabric tapestries, depicting scenes from their owners' services, and projected ads and lights covered every visible surface of every business. The products and services these businesses offered were also rather different from those of the tasteful boutiques that sat both across the street and in another world from Queen's Bar. Sex clubs struggling to look safer and cleaner than they were grabbed for your attention, while gadget sellers trying hard to appear both black market cheap and tourist safe screamed the virtues of their wares. The shouts of drunken and over-stimmed partygoers in the bars that occupied almost every other building on the street caused their neighbors to amplify their pitches further in a never-ending sonic war for tourist money. Barkers prowled the front of each establishment, their patter non-stop as their hard eyes scanned the passing crowd for fish to hook. Anyone who understood the way Queen's Bar really worked avoided all the perimeter merchants, because everything they sold, including the sex, was less current, less interesting, and more expensive than what you could get if you plunged deeper into the district. Most visitors, though, were thrill-seekers who wanted to say they'd visited a suspect area of the city. Such people provided the nutrients that made the overpriced, watered-down merchants on the barrier streets into some of the fattest successes in the area. I hadn't visited Queen's Bar in a long time, so I stood still too long as I basked in the energetic commercial weirdness that swirled around me. A barker wearing a formal black suit over an inappropriate red-striped shirt took advantage of my stupidity by grabbing my arm and trying to gently head me toward the business to my right. "Don't listen to 'em, brother," he said. "Oh, they'll tell you all about how many sex shows they have. A new one every half hour, they'll say. But do you really want to see the same 4 people doing it all day long?" He didn't wait for me to answer, his head bobbing up and down with the drug-fueled ready confidence of someone who already knows the answer, who's known it for some time.
This has been the Bane Free Radio Hour. Thanks for joining us at the heart of science fiction. Join us next week when Sean Hazlitt interviews John Ringo and Casey Moores on Welcome to the Jungle. And later, we continue with the serialization of One Jump Ahead by Mark L. Van Neen, Part 30. Score by Ruth Judkowitz.